Hey folks, it's man once again, and welcome back to another review. And this is of a Blu-ray. Since I've been reviewing some wrestling stuff, why not review this one? Stone Cold Steve Austin, the bottom line on the most popular superstar of all time. There's also a DVD set that you could get that's a 4-disc, but this is a Blu-ray set that's a 3-disc. As for what the difference is, I think what's added on here is a couple matches and a couple moments, as they say. Matches on the Blu-ray that's not on the DVD, I believe. A triple threat match between Steve Austin, Undertaker, and Triple H at No Mercy. Steve Austin versus Kurt Angle on Raw in 2001. Steve Austin versus Angle versus Rob Van Dam at No Mercy, 2001. The other one was No Mercy 1999, the Austin Undertaker Triple H match. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock at WrestleMania 19, his last match. And then the Blu-ray moments, about an hour long of stuff. A Flair for the Gold, which was a segment he did on WCW. The Biggest Draw in the World, which is an interview someone interviewed him. He was talking about Bret Hart. The Foundation of the WWE, where there's an empty ring and people are interviewing him before the submission match between him and Bret Hart, and he's talking about how he's not going to quit and things like that. Actually, pretty funny one. You Want a Pear, You Want an Apple. This is when he's interviewed when he's hurt and he's at home, and JR's interviewing him. Post Raw, Stone Cold has some words with The Rock, which is some fun stuff. Took place in 2003. Mr. McMahon inducts Stone Cold Steve Austin to the Hall of Fame. His Hall of Fame induction. And then Steve Austin salutes Texas at the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania. So those are about, all that together is about an hour's worth, and then you get 4 extra matches on disc 1. Now the other stuff that's on this, before I get to the documentary itself, which the documentary is very lengthy. I mean, the documentary is about 2.5 hours, which makes sense. I mean, it makes sense because Stone Cold Steve Austin was a huge star. I mean, a lot of people today consider him the biggest star in wrestling. And you get special features, you get but the stories are like, for example, there's one about the autograph, about how even before he got into business, he was there to train, and people were already asking for his autograph. A little funny story about him first realizing that his hair was receding, about how he got the nickname the Rattlesnake. A funny bit of business detailing once in a while Stone Cold's clumsiness, like that time where he got tangled in the ropes. CM Punk sharing a very fond memory of encountering Austin, which I thought was pretty cool because he talked about how Hulk Hogan pretty much blew past him and didn't pay him any attention, but Stone Cold Steve Austin, gave him the time of day and treated him well, and I thought that was really cool. He talks about where the stunner came from, and there's like a music video, "Bleed for Me" by Zakk Wylde. To be honest, I would prefer the other "Bleed for Me" by God, what's that band? There's another song called "You Bleed for Me." Da-na-na. I know someone will type in the comments, I'm sure. I have a list here, so I didn't want to miss anything. Disc 2. So on disc 1, if you get the DVD, it's the documentary and those little features. And if you get the Blu-ray, you get those 4 matches I talked about. Disc 2, you get a shitload of matches. You get his match against Gentleman Chris Adams in 1990. Tag team match in WCW with him and Ric Flair versus Sting and Ricky Steamboat. Team of the Ring final match, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Jake the Snake Roberts. That's where he came up with Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. Submission match, Stone Cold versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. Steve Austin versus Rocky Maivia and In Your House Degeneration X. That was a fun match where he came in his truck and the rest of the Nation of Domination tried to attack Austin, and he flipped one. Guy landed on the windshield and slammed a couple others against the doors of his truck. That was a fun little match. Austin versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14. Austin versus Do Love at Over the Edge, which that was a fun match. Austin versus Undertaker at SummerSlam 1998. Austin versus The Big Show on Raw 1999. And then Austin versus The Rock at WrestleMania 15. And Austin versus The Rock at WrestleMania 17. To be honest, it doesn't bother me because I have another DVD called The Legacy of Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is just a shitload of his matches. And there's stuff on there that's not on here. Like on that, there's his matches with Kane. My favorite match with Steve Austin is with him against The Rock at Backlash, which is a shame that's not on this. It's on my other DVD, so I have it. But I'm just saying, for those who just have this, it's a shame because Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock at Backlash, that probably is my favorite. It was such a fun match, and it had moments like The Rock getting a video camera, turning, Stone Cold does this, and The Rock, you hear him go, oh shit! And he just gives a damn stunner to The Rock. That was always my favorite match. That was a lot of fun. And then, let's see, what else was there? Then this 3, other than that hour of stuff that I mentioned that's on the Blu-ray, the other stuff mentioned is some other features, Stone Cold answering his Twitter questions, him talking about a place he worked at, the Sportatorium, him talking about the design of the t-shirt, the first t-shirt of Austin 316, him doing a tour of his place in Texas, and then a shitload of his moments, like over 2 hours of his moments. Some of his segments on ECW, not the one with he's pretending to be Hulk Hogan. For some reason they don't have that one, but they have his like 3 of his other ones, which are really good. Him pretending to be Eric Bischoff. Welcome to Monday Night Football, where the big boys play with each other. Him being on Livewire. Him at the Slammy Awards. Tyson versus Austin. Him first stunning Vince McMahon. The beer bash. The Zamboni incident. Him scaring Vince McMahon with a gun that said Bane 316. Just a lot of great moments. Him filling up the Corvette with cement. Just a lot of fun moments. The only nitpicks I would have is a couple moments I would have wished they would have had in there to seal the deal. One would be where he came out in a suit and then he tore the suit. Austin doesn't change for nobody, and does this against Vince's nuts. Like, that's one of those moments that there's a lot of moments, but that's just a little nitpick. But I will say this is one of my favorite wrestling DVDs. Well, Blu-ray. It's one of the best wrestling documentaries as well. Because again, it's 2.5 hours long. It's very in depth, and you get cross the I's and the T's and the L's and the R's and even stuff that shouldn't be crossed. They cross it. Crossing streams, crossing lines at the urinal, crossing everything in between, because the documentary is great. From him first getting started to Chris Adams and such teaching him, to getting to WCW, going nowhere, there's stunning Steve Austin, saying that he's going to be in this program and Harley Race is going to be with him, and then saying, nope, sorry, Rudd comes out from under him. You don't be a tag team with Brian Pillman. Then they start getting over, and then for no reason they split him apart because they didn't see Steve Austin as a big guy, so they were keeping him down. His working with people like Ricky Steamboat, some really good matches. Him getting fired by Eric Bischoff over the phone. Paul Heyman calling him, getting the ECW, doing some really good promos, interviews. Getting the WWE with shitty gimmick called the Ringmaster. Getting out of that. Being a heel, working with Bret Hart, great stuff there. The rivalry between him and Vince McMahon, which is a great rivalry. Also with him and The Rock, another great rivalry. Just a lot of very cool stuff in there. Him and Mike Tyson, Shawn Michaels winning at WrestleMania 14 with the championship belt. Like I said, working with The Rock, just how popular he got. I mean, Austin was huge. To me, he still is a huge superstar in wrestling. Just a lot of stuff. I mean, again, it's about 2.5 hours long. That's why when I reviewed the Hulk Hogan DVD, Hulk Still Rules, whether you like or hate the guy, he should have a treatment like this. I mean, a 2.5 hour documentary. A 2.5 hour documentary should be a no-brainer on Hulk Hogan with the career he's had before WWF, during WWF, during WCW, coming back in 2002, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a no-brainer, but hey, what do I know? And like they have the moments in this 3, that should be a huge pack of Hulk Hogan promos. Because what's one thing you remember about Hulk Hogan? His promos. Let me tell you something, brother. But hey, this is me just being silly. And hell, Hulk Hogan is probably won't even be in my top 10 favorites. Was as a kid, but nowadays, I still like the character of Hulk Hogan. He'd be in my top 20. But you can't deny that the guy, he is, a lot of people would say, the biggest star in wrestling. But, Stone Cold Steve Austin is my favorite. And even the problems, him and SummerSlam, was it SummerSlam 1997? Owen Hart doing the pile driver, getting his neck really injured, and all the stuff going on with that. They talk about the creative being shit, and he's like, fuck this, I'm not losing to Brock Lesnar out of the blue with that's losing business. Like, this is just out of the blue, we're losing, that there's a lot of business that could be had here, build up, money that we could all make, and you're just throwing it away, and it's like, fuck this, I'm gone. Which, honestly, from what I understand, I don't blame Austin for doing that, but he admits his mistakes, and that's the cool thing about Austin. He admits his mistakes, he owns up to it. Coming back, fun stuff, being the co-general manager of Raw with Eric Bischoff, which was a lot of fun. Oh, that reminds me, another moment that I wish they would have had on the 3rd disc. Not just him being the suit taking off and hitting Vince McMahon in the nuts, but also when Linda McMahon, Stephanie McMahon come out and they say the new chairman or who owns 50% of the company, and Steve Austin comes out and you see the face of Vince and his son, how shocked they are. That would have been a nice moment to put in there as well. But they just talk about a lot of stuff. I mean, him having to retire, his last match, some really nice stuff where him and The Rock just changed some very nice words after the match was done. Like The Rock apparently had told him, "Hey, I love you, man. I appreciate all that you did." And just that moment was very nice because you tell that both of them seemed very emotional about it. I thought that was really cool. And then pretty much after wrestling, once in a while coming back to work with WWE, working on Tough Enough, that he was actually offered the Marine, and his agent told him not to do it. And Stone Cold regrets that. He actually wishes he would have done it, but his agent was an idiot. They said, no, you shouldn't do that. So he did the Condemned, and he likes the Condemned. I don't, because I think it's very piss poorly edited. At least the shaky cam. The shaky cam was really bad, and the ending with its trying to be very, I don't know if you want to say political or message filled or whatever. I just did not like the Condemned, but hey, teach their own. And him being inducted in the Hall of Fame and celebrating it at WrestleMania 25. Just a lot of really great stuff. Just a lot of awesome moments, and just rewatching the documentary. Just you just say it's a lengthy documentary, but I never got bored one bit. Didn't get bored one single bit during this whole documentary. It was packed, and it should have been to the gills. It should have been, and it was a great documentary. So great documentary, shitload of matches. Not all the ones that I would have had. Like I would have had his matches with Kane, because I thought that, especially his First Blood match and rematch. But that's on my other DVD. The match he had at Backlash, that's on my other DVD. I mean, they couldn't fit every match on there, obviously. And there's a couple little moments I would have had, but still, you need a shitload of moments. And thankfully, they have play all option, so you just watch them all. Sometimes some of these things don't have a play all option, but thankfully this does. I think this is a great. Even the little nitpicks I have, I would give this a perfect rating just for the fact I think it's very well done, well handled, great documentary. Just love this very much. And being a big fan of the Stone Cold Steve Austin, is great to watch. Very well done. They did interviews from Chris Jericho, Bret Hart, Mick Foley, Vince McMahon, Triple H, which, honestly, fuck him. I don't like Triple H. I've never liked Triple H. Just seems like a fuckhead. Sorry to any Triple H fans. I've never liked him. I just always thought he was a fuckhead. That's just me. But you do get a lot of good stuff in this. So, if you're at all a fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin and you don't have this, it's definitely worth a purchase. If you're a wrestling fan, it's definitely worth a purchase. Again, I mentioned at the beginning of the video what's on the Blu-ray that's not on the DVD, so you either get the 4-disc DVD or the 3-disc Blu-ray. And hell, if you're a big fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin, also get the Legacy of Stone Cold Steve Austin. That has matches that are not featured on this, that's on that. Me, I have pretty much all the Stone Cold Steve Austin stuff. I'm a big fan. From his early stuff, because Stone Cold Said So, Austin vs. McMahon. What was that one? There's a few others, I forget the name of it. One called What? The Stone Cold Truth. I pretty much have all of them. Because I'm a big fan, so I'm glad. This is definitely a must for the collection. But either way, thanks for watching, take care, and stay tuned for more videos. Later.